When you live with health anxiety, like I do, your mind is always scanning the environment for threats you can't control. Every new headline about pollution, every whiff of smoke in the air, every seasonal allergy flare-up can send your thoughts spiraling. But here's the truth. Air quality really does matter for both physical health and mental well-being. And the more I've learned about it, the more I realize that this isn't just an abstract worry. It's something I can actively manage, something that really does make a measurable difference in how I feel day to day. Breathing is the one thing we all do non-stop, all day, every day, whether we think about it or not. The average adult takes over 20,000 breaths every single day. And the air we breathe isn't just oxygen. It's a mixture of gases, particles, and sometimes pollutants that can either fuel our bodies with energy or wear us down. Poor air quality doesn't just affect the lungs. It affects the heart, the brain, the immune system, and even our mood and mental state. And if you're someone like me who's already hyper-aware of every little bodily sensation, the effects of bad air can amplify health anxiety in ways that make daily life harder. One of the biggest problems with low-quality air is fine particulate matter, often referred to as PM 2.5. These are tiny particles so small they can get deep into your lungs and even enter your bloodstream. Scientific research links exposure to PM 2.5 with higher risks of cardiovascular disease, respiratory problems, and even premature death. But what really caught my attention is that these particles can also affect brain health. Studies show that people exposed to long-term air pollution are more likely to experience cognitive decline, depression, and anxiety symptoms. For someone like me, this is a double-edged sword. Not only can bad air physically impact the body, but it can directly influence the very anxiety I'm trying to manage. Then there are the short-term effects. On days when air quality is poor, say, after a wildfire sends smoke drifting across the region, or when pollen counts are high, I notice my chest feels tight, my throat gets irritated, and my energy plummets. Even if these symptoms are mild and temporary, my anxious brain tends to catastrophize them. I'll start wondering if it's asthma, heart trouble, or something worse. But in reality, many of these sensations can simply be explained by exposure to polluted or allergen-heavy air. Recognizing that has helped me put my symptoms in perspective. Bad air quality also interacts with sleep, which is critical for managing anxiety. Pollution and allergens can irritate the nasal passages, leading to snoring, congestion, or sleep-disordered breathing. And poor sleep, as we know, is one of the fastest ways to make anxiety worse. I've had nights where I tossed and turned, woke up feeling foggy, and then spent the entire day in an anxious loop. Later, I realized that my symptoms coincided with a spike in local air pollution. That connection has made me prioritize air quality as much as I prioritize diet, exercise, or hydration. There's also the immune system to think about. Research has shown that exposure to pollutants weakens immune defenses and increases inflammation in the body. For someone with health anxiety, this matters because any small infection or inflammatory symptom can set off alarm bells in the brain. But here's the empowering part. By taking steps to improve the air I breathe, I'm actually helping my immune system stay stronger, which reduces the number of triggers that could otherwise spiral me into panic. Now let's talk about recognizing when air quality is poor. Unlike visible smoke or smog, you can't always see or smell bad air. That's why I use Air Quality Index (AQI) apps on my phone. These apps give real-time updates about pollution levels, pollen counts, and particulate matter in my area. The AQI scale usually ranges from 0 to 500, with anything under 50 considered good, 51 to 100 moderate, and numbers over 100 signaling unhealthy conditions, especially for sensitive groups. Once I started paying attention to AQI, I noticed patterns. On days when the AQI was high, I often felt more sluggish, had headaches, or experienced more shortness of breath. Instead of panicking about those symptoms, I could link them to the environment. That alone reduced a lot of unnecessary anxiety. So what can we do about it? First, when outdoor air quality is bad, limit exposure. That doesn't mean living in fear or locking yourself indoors all the time, but it does mean making smart adjustments. For example, I'll avoid outdoor exercise when AQI levels are above 100, since exertion makes me breathe more deeply and increases my exposure. Instead, I might do a workout indoors with filtered air. On wildfire smoke days, I keep windows closed and run air purifiers in the rooms where my family spends the most time. These steps not only improve physical health, but also give me a sense of control, which is huge for calming anxiety. Second, indoor air matters just as much as outdoor air. Dust, mold, pet dander, cleaning chemicals, and even cooking fumes can degrade indoor air quality. I've made small changes that add up: vacuuming with a HEPA filter, running exhaust fans when cooking, and choosing non-toxic cleaning products. I also invested in a good quality air purifier for my bedroom. Research has shown that using HEPA filters can significantly reduce indoor pollutants, and I've noticed I wake up with less congestion when I keep it running. For me, that directly translates into feeling calmer in the mornings instead of waking up with a racing heart from stuffy sinuses. Another step that helps is maintaining indoor plants, but with a balanced perspective. While plants can add freshness and reduce stress visually, the actual air cleaning benefits are fairly small compared to purifiers. Still, I keep a few around because they make my space feel healthier and calmer, which matters for mental well-being. When outdoor air is unavoidable, masks can help. 95 masks aren't just for viruses, they filter out particulate matter too. During wildfire season, I keep a few on hand. Knowing I have that option reduces my sense of vulnerability when I need to run errands or be outside. Hydration is another overlooked tool. Polluted air dries out the airways, which can make them more sensitive and irritated. Drinking plenty of water, using saline sprays, or even running a humidifier in dry seasons keeps my respiratory system more resilient. Exercise is a tricky balance. While heavy outdoor exercise in polluted air is harmful, moderate indoor activity in clean air can actually strengthen the lungs and improve resilience against pollutants. Exercise also reduces anxiety, so I've found it helpful to adapt instead of giving up movement altogether when the air outside is poor. And finally, I've learned not to underestimate the mental side of this. Air quality can easily become another obsession for people with health anxiety. Constantly refreshing apps, worrying about every puff off smoke, or fearing normal seasonal changes. I try to approach it like any other health habit. I monitor it once or twice a day. I take reasonable precautions, and then I move on with my life. The goal isn't to eliminate all risk, because that's impossible, but to reduce exposure enough that my body and mind can function well. The biggest takeaway for me has been realizing that I can't control every particle I breathe, but I can control my habits and environment in meaningful ways. Just like choosing whole foods, getting enough sleep, or exercising regularly, paying attention to air quality is one more piece of the puzzle for both physical and mental health. And for those of us living with health anxiety, that kind of empowerment, turning fear into action, can be a real game changer. So the next time you notice yourself feeling off, whether it's fatigue, shortness of breath, or just a spike in anxious thoughts, it's worth checking the air quality before assuming the worst. Sometimes the explanation is external, not internal. And knowing that has helped me breathe easier, both physically and emotionally.